lovelies, welcome back to my channel. I do apologise if I look a little bit frizzy and strange right now. I just had to run outside in the pouring rain to move my car, so that is why. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sophie and I make all kinds of different guitar videos. So I put it out to you guys on my Instagram story. Thank you to everyone who did a little poll on whether to do a solo tutorial or whether to do a video containing 5 random different licks for you guys to try out. It was a pretty even score the last time I looked, so I ended up filming both. But yeah, here is the 5 tasty licks video. There's a combination of licks that I have written and then a couple of licks that I've thrown in there that I really like that are written by other people that I think you guys would like too. So obviously I'll tell you which ones they are. So let's jump on into the video. So just before we get started, I need to mention to you guys that my guitar is tuned to E flat. I'm really good at forgetting to tell you guys what tuning I'm in, but without a doubt it will always be written in the description, so always make sure to check there first. So the first lick that I want to show you guys is one that I have not created myself, so this is by someone else. This is by Guthrie Govan, or Guthrie Govan, I don't know however you guys want to pronounce his name. He's a guitar wizard, he's amazing, and he's one of my biggest influences. This is a lick from his song Fives, and it's a lick that has been with me for a really long time actually. I have vivid memories of me sat in my bedroom when I was 15 years old trying to get this one lick. So yeah, it's really tasty and I will share it with you guys. So this is basically how it sounds. I gotta apologise, my fingers are pretty cold right now, so that was a little bit sloppy, my bad. So this is really jazzy. He does some seriously incredible shred stuff, shreddy, jazzy craziness, on another level basically. So yeah, let's look into this lick further. I'm going to throw some tabs on the screen so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing, and I'm going to talk you through it. We're starting on the high E string on number 20, and we're going from number 20 back to number 16. So I would highly suggest using your pinky finger for this, because it helps to reach things, but obviously you could use your third finger as well if you wanted to. Basically doing exactly the same thing, mirrored on the B string. A little note to mention here is I'm alternate picking the whole thing of this, or at least as far as I'm aware. Okay, and then you're going to slide back to number 13 on the B string, and you're going to hammer on from 13 to 14. So slide back to 13 and then hammer on to 14 with your middle finger. After that, you're going to jump back up to the E string, and you're going to play number 13, number 16, and number 15. So far what we've got is this. So as you notice there, I kind of like roll my finger or sort of drop it down, my index finger. It kind of helps with that jump just to make it in time. Okay, and after that you're going to come back up to the B string. You're going to play number 16 followed by number 13 back on the E. So. Okay, and now we're going to do a chromatic run down on the B string, 16, 15, 14, 13. We got. Then finally you're going to land on number 15 on the G, and you're going to slide off. Do some vibrato first though, because it sounds cool. So that's one of my favourite licks. I actually only remembered it last night, funnily enough. I was doing a Skype lesson with someone, and I was just teaching some licks, and I was thinking about some alternate picking licks to do. That one popped into my head, and yeah, it's a super great one to practice your alternate picking. Okay, so for number 2, I've decided that I wanted to throw in a tapping lick. This is actually up on my Patreon guitar course. This is one of the licks that I've already put out on there, but the majority of you will not have seen it, so I thought I'd throw it in here as well. So this is a tapping lick, and it's got a pretty cool pattern to it. You can either tap using your first finger or your middle finger. I can't really decide which one I prefer, so we'll see what I end up doing. You're kind of going back and forth through these two shapes, and then finally you descend down. So this is what it sounds like up to speed. Cool, so I ended up using my index finger in the end. So essentially this is what we have. We're going to start off with a pull-off with your index finger on your right hand, right? On number 17 on the B string. So you're pulling off on number 17 on the B string with your right hand to number 10 on the B string with your left hand. Okay, so after you've done that pull-off, you're going to hammer on with your pinky onto number 14. And then you drop down to the E string and do exactly the same pattern. So you do that twice, yeah. So you go B string, E string, B string, E string. And after you've done that, then you're going to descend down this pattern. See, I'm kind of going down in groups of 3, at least string groups of 3. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with this pattern on the E string, and you're going to pull off from 17 to 10 and then hammer on to 14 with your pinky finger all on the E string. Okay, and you're going to do the same on the B string. Okay, now when we get to the G string, there's that shift obviously in tuning. So what you're going to do is you're changing your shape a little bit, but the pattern stays the same. So you're now pulling off on number 16 on the G, and you're pulling off to number 11, hammering on to number 14. Okay, so that's your first 3 notes of the sequence. Right, okay, and now you head back to the B string, do exactly the same pattern as you were doing before. Okay, and then you also do the same pattern as you did on the G string. But this time, on the end of it, we're going to add a pattern onto the D string. Obviously, we're moving in groups of 3, right? So the pattern on the D string is exactly the same as the pattern you're doing on the G string. So you're pulling off from 16 to number 11, and you're hammering onto number 14 with your pinky finger on the same string. So far, this is what we have. Okay, so that's our second group of 3. So now we're going to have to go back a string again. So you're starting on the G string. Do exactly the same patterns as you did before. So you go G string, D string, and now we're onto the A string. So this, again, there's a little shift, so there's a change in the notes you're using. So you're pulling off with your right hand on number 16 to number 12 on the A string. And then you're going to hammer on to number 14 with your third finger. And then finally, you slide down to number 9 on the A string with your third finger. So slowly that descent pattern sounds like this. So altogether, slowly the entire exercise sounds like this. Faster. So that's lick number 2. I realised I just referred to it as an exercise. You could use it as an exercise, it's long enough to be an exercise. Okay, now moving on to lick number 3, I'm going to teach you something bluesy, another one from my Patreon actually, my Patreon guitar course, focusing on bending. You could even add a pinch on the end if you want to sound super fancy. So effectively what we have here is we would be in E minor, shape 1 of the pentatonic. But seeing as I'm in E flat tuning, we're technically in E flat minor or D sharp minor. So we're starting off with a bend. It's kind of a slow bend in a way, because you're sort of cutting off the point where it reaches the full height of the bend by going into the next little lick or phrase. So we're doing a bend on number 14 on the G string with your third finger, followed by the 12th to the 15th fret on the B string. And on the end of that, then you go back to the G string on number 14, you bend up again. And then you play number 12 on the B string. So far this is what we have. Okay, this is the groovy bit. You're using that cheeky flavour note. I'm just going over it for a second, but it adds a lot of interest. That's a note that I use all the time. And you're coming down, so you're going to play number 15, number 14 and number 12 on the G string. Okay, and then finally we've got a pull off from 14 to 12 on the D string, landing on number 14 on the A string, and then you're going to go back up on the D string, 12 to 14, and finally landing on a sort of a little bend, a pull down bend on the G string on the 12th fret. And that would be the note that you pinch if you really want to be super fancy. So yeah, cheeky little pentatonic sort of lick there. I kind of came up with because I was doing a sort of a lot of exercises on bending for that particular week in the guitar course, but I thought it sounded pretty groovy, and I feel like you could throw it in a few different solos, and obviously it doesn't have to stop there. You can then go off and play other things, but you can use that as some inspiration. So yeah, that's a lick to try out for sure. Okay, so now I'm gonna teach you another lick that does not belong to me. This is one that I put up on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago as my lick of the week thing. Okay, so this is a Richie Kotzen lick. It moves in a really weird pattern and it's super crazy. So this is what it is. So yeah, it moves in a super weird chromatic pattern to begin with. So you're gonna start off on number 8 of the A string. We need more sound than that. So you're going to go 8, 9, 10 on the A string. Obviously only picking once on that first note. We come down to the D string and we're going to go 7, 10, 7. So you pick the 7, you pick the 10, but after the 10 you pull off back to the 7, so. Okay, and now we're going to come down some sort of like minor arpeggio type shape. So what that is you're effectively, because you've already gone back to the 7, you're now going to add on your middle finger onto the 8th fret on the A string. And then your pinky finger on number 10 on the E string, and the shape looks like this. I kind of take a sweeping approach. I think I go up, up, up when I do that, but you can also alternate pick that if you would prefer to. Okay, and after that, you're going to go back to the number 7 on the D string. And you're going to do that minor arpeggio thing again. But this time you add number 8 on the E string onto the end of that. Okay, after that you go back to doing the exact same chromatic climb up pattern that you did right at the beginning. After you do that, so 8, 9, 10, you're going to slide up to 12 with your 3rd finger. Okay, then we go onto the D string and we're going to go 10, hammer on onto 12, and then slide up to 15. And now this is where you lose all sense of what key you once had, and it completely confuses everyone, which is cool and groovy and it sounds rad. So what we have here, you go from 12 to 15 on the G, and then you're pulling back off to 12 on the G as well. Then you kind of go back on yourself. You're going to play 15 on the D and then back to 12 on the G. Finally, you finish this with a bend on 15 on the G. So all together, this is what the lick looks like slowly. So kind of hang on that second to last note that you play on the 12th fret. I kind of just do a lot of vibrato, almost closer to a like a half bend, and then finishing it off with a slow bend on the 15. A super groovy lick. I think it's from the song Go Faster by Richie Kotzen. Again, Richie Kotzen is a huge influence to me. I love all of his music and he is an absolutely incredible guitar player. I highly rate him. Okay, and last up, onto lick number 5. This is kind of a Slash inspired lick that I came up with. I kind of do this all the time. It's more so the combination of notes and the pattern of it. Sounds very Slash-like, and again, Slash is a huge influence to me, so you can't help but have those sort of flavours come out in your playing when you've listened to someone so much. But I really, really dig this lick, and I'm gonna show you it first of all. So this is what the lick sounds like. So again, we're going to be up in E flat minor pentatonic, but it would usually be E minor pentatonic. So your first 3 notes up on the high E string, and you're going to go 12, 14, 15. Okay, so next up, you're going to go back to number 14 and do a hammer on into a pull off between 14 and 15 on the E. And then pulling off again to the 12, so what you have. And then you're going to go to number 15 on the B string. Okay. Then you go back to number 14 onto the E string, and then 15 on the B string. Okay, after that you've got this phrase. So another hammer on into a pull off from 12 to 14 on the E string. 15 on the B, and then 12 on the E. So far. So now we're going to go into a pull off from 15 to 12 on the B. And then you're going to land on number 14 on the G. And then finally, you've got a bend up on 15 on the B string. So altogether, this is what we have. Obviously, add some tasty vibrato on the end of that bend, as I always say, because vibrato is life. Yeah, so up to speed, that's what it sounds like. You can kind of phrase it how you wish, you know, throw the accents around the place a little bit, but that's sort of how I came out with it. I just sort of did what felt right, and yeah, that's kind of how I came up with that lick. So those are 5 tasty licks for you guys to try out. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. I certainly enjoyed making it. I love writing licks, and yeah, it keeps me on my toes and I really enjoy doing it. So yeah, give those a try and tag me in them. Tag me in your video responses and your attempts at them, and I'll give you guys some shout outs. If you did enjoy this video, please feel free to head on over to my Patreon guitar course, where I have tons and tons and tons of guitar content. I push out weekly videos and exercises and licks for you guys to try out equally. If you subscribe to the gold tier, then you can get access to all of the tabs for every single solo that I do, for every cover, for every song, literally everything. It's all up there for $5 a month only. So it's super cheap and it's super affordable, and it really helps me to continue to do videos like these. And yeah, thank you so much for the support so far. It's been amazing. So as always, like, comment and subscribe. I'd really appreciate the feedback, and let me know what sort of licks you wanna see next. Drop them all in the comments, and yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.